I can understand that. Maybe no evidence might be found at all. There are cities that we know existed that have been completely wiped out. For example, let's take the First World War, and let's take how many cities have been blown away into ashes. 1,000 years later, if my grandkids and your grandkids are having a conversation and they're saying this city exists, it doesn't, and one of them comes out and says, "Oh, no archaeological evidence has been found," the other says, "Even though no archaeological evidence has been found, historians have told us this has happened." But still, there is no evidence. That doesn't change the fact that those cities existed and that they were wiped away. So,
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they got
for this
some type of.
moment, okay,
I'm pretty sure they got some type of paper evidence that that city during the
yeah,
war or whatever
of
it
course,
existed.
but you're taking that paper evidence and saying no, this is not historical. Give
Not
me
the
something
Bible,
else.
not
That's what
something
you're
that was,
saying.
They
not
couldn't find
something
none of
that.
this place because there was a movie set. They put
Why?
it on a
Why is
movie
the
set.
Bible not considered to be a historical event, a historical evidence? Well, I don't catch why
Okay.
that
Because
you
there's
can't you can't
Okay.
nobody,
you can't consider,
Okay.
huh? Because
nobody,
what?
Do we?
nobody.
Do we? Do we
Because
have
nobody? What
evidence
does that
that
mean?
Tell has been Tellhesban? That's the city, right?
Hey, list. Okay.
When was it inhabited?
When was it inhabited? I don't know.
Hmm.
You have to educate me on that one.
After 1200 BC.
Okay. So what's the point?
The point is that these cities that are in the book, that these people are saying that they're going in and out of, that they say that they are coming from, they did not
They can't
exist
find
during
them.
the time that these people said that they existed.
Do you have archaeological evidence that say they didn't exist at that time?
Listen. William Dever is one of the archaeologists that was in the site.
Okay. And he said there were no people there.
Hold on, wait. Because I'm not just gonna pull him. I'm gonna give you another if
That's
I
why
find it.
I'm
Sorry, my
saying
bad.
the whole place is
Uh,
a movie set.
you might hear some background noise.
You
Excuse me
have
for
to
that.
do
I'm just gonna
linguistic
grab me a cigarette.
archaeology. Yeah, you do linguistics archaeology. You break it up. Because I hope this is them everybody digging in the wrong place.
Look,
And if you have to rename the place on them and put rename the real places, and yeah, the real places suffering. Only fucking milk in the
listen.
land. And I
You
people
got
fucking suffering. Fuck. That's why they can't find nothing.
Just even the people in Israel, they had two choices to where they wanted to live, either in Africa or where they're at now. So
What do you mean the people in Israel?
the
The
people
current
that live
Israel?
yeah, in 1948, they had a choice. Did they want to go live in Africa by God on the west coast of Africa, or did they want to go live in Israel? And they did not want to live in
Who
Africa. I guess whoever was the main people who got to decide it didn't want to be in Africa, so
who
they
would
chose
let
where
them?
they're at now.
Who would let them stay in Africa? It's not
And
their
that's
choice.
why I come
There are
around and tell
people
you.
that live there
I'll
already.
build my throne in the
Just like that,
north.
they ever stopped
I'll
people
build my throne in
before.
the north, and I'll build
Huh?
it in the northeast and the northwest.
And wasn't people living
Tell it to write on
in
your own
Israel
thing.
too?
In Ethiopia? Is that what you said?
I said, wasn't people living in Israel also before they got there?
Yeah, probably. But that's a time of conquest. That's a time of war and conquest. People didn't agree to
I'm
take
talking about
countries. They fought for it.
1948.
1948. Yeah, the same people. Let me clarify this. What you describe as Israel right now or Israelites right now is just one tribe. It's called the tribe of Dan. It's probably one of the
What are
only
you
few
talking about?
white tribes of Israel.
So wait. Let me
Every
So
other
now they're
tribe is
white.
black.
So now they're white
Yes,
because I read that they were African, the tribe of Dan. There's actually a tribe
the
in
tribe of
Africa.
Dan were not African.
That's what I read.
The tribe of Dan are the tribes that moved north after the occupation of Israel, after they reached their 40 years of exile. These tribes are the only white tribes that are
So
Israelites.
so when did
And
so when
And
did Isaac?
it's very hard to say these are the ones that are here right now.
So when did Isaac make a white kid?
When did Isaac make a white kid? What does that mean?
Like when Isaac had his Jacob. Sorry, when Jacob had his kid, when did he make a kid that were white for him to be able to for Dan to be the tribe of one of the tribes of
Then you have to
Israel?
look at the ancestry of Dan. Look at who the mother is, who the
Uh-huh.
mother of that original head of tribe is, and she
Uh-huh.
probably was white. That's what it means.
Yeah, but I mean they had other children though, right? I mean he had four wives,
Which were
12
some which were
children.
darker complexion. Yeah, which had a darker complexion of skin, all
So
the
how
way
did
to
they
the
turn
shade of
white?
black.
So how did they turn white?
Except the tribe of Dan,
Okay,
who
but
could have been originally. We're
no,
talking about creation of. We're talking about God's creation. He can create. He can have green apples, red apples all over. It doesn't have to come from one race that slowly turned into white. He could have made
they
white
don't work
people
like that
also black
though.
people.
Only people that work like that are black people.
And Middle Easterns. Middle Eastern people look like that. They're brown
Um,
people.
Do you
mm.
know? Do you know there was a Bethlehem in do you know there was a Bethlehem? There is a Bethlehem. Maybe there was. Do you know there is a Bethlehem in Africa?
Of course there is. The city called there's
There's a
called a city
Galilee,
called Jerusalem. There's a Gihon River.
right?
There's yeah. All the rivers, all the landscapes, you can find
So
them in
all
East
these
Africa.
right. So a lot of the biblical locations that are mentioned in the Bible that they're claiming is in the northwest, yeah, or North Africa,
Northeast.
right? You
Yeah, that's
find these
not.
exact right. You find these exact names in Africa. They just they just switch around. They drop a letter here, they drop a letter there. They make you pronounce the word different, but when you're taking your time and you're breaking it down, you're seeing the names there. So I'm asking
Yeah, I
you,
mean,
if
but
according to biblical
names
literature,
could
right?
be deceiving though, man. Names could be deceiving because
Exactly.
there's a state called um there's a state named after an Egyptian state in the US right now. That doesn't mean the US originally had the state. What I would like to point out, if you're talking about Exodus, is maybe the reason they can find archaeological evidence over there was because the story tells of Moses going south to escape from the Egyptians. I don't know how he ended up way up north.
In the
These
north.
are my major questions. And the second one is
Thank you.
they said he went to
You're
Medina
thinking.
first before the exile and married an Ethiopian woman, which makes no sense because that Ethiopian woman would have to cross the Red Sea first. I think there's
But
been a little plagiarism when it comes to the actual story to make it whitewashed, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist.
do you know that the whole continent of Africa used to be called Ethiopia? It wasn't just the country that we have now.
Yeah, of course. Every
Okay, so
land that wasn't conquered by white people was considered to be Ethiopia because they haven't discovered it yet, even though it was discovered and people were already living in it. They
I
used
think
to
they
call
made
everything
Aksum Ethiopia. Yeah.
not
So
that was the only region
keeping
that
that.
left. That was left. The only region that was left
Right.
without being colonized, they still called it
Uh,
Ethiopia because they didn't figure out what it was.
you
but
mean
this is what I
Aksum?
don't understand.
You mean
In
Aksum?
Revelations, Dan is when it mentions the 12 gates, and in Revelations, Dan's name's not mentioned in the 12 gates.
Exactly, exactly. On the New Testament, the tribe of Dan has been replaced um, as the 12 tribes of Israel in the 12 tribes of Israel. And I'm pretty sure you can guess why.
And no, I can't guess
Why?
why.
Let me hear why. Hold on. Let me hear why. I want to hear. Let me hear what you say. Let me hear why.
Because they didn't
Because
really.
of all the
Let me hear.
atrocity, because of all the atrocity the tribe of Dan has done, and because they stepped away from the will of God, and they created their own opposite religion. That's why they've
And
been
who's
removed.
Opposite
and
religion.
who's Dan? Who's Dan today? Who's Dan
There
today?
was no there was no
Who
12
was Dan
tribes of
today?
Israel. They made that shit up.
Yeah, they made that shit
Dan
up.
is
But
the tribe that moved north. You do the math.
He said he's saying Dan is the I guess the people in Israel now.
No, the tribe that moved. People in Israel now are okay. So if you do a DNA test of people that are in Israel now, most of the DNA tests came out as saying Ethiopian Israelite or the original Israelites that they used to live in Gondar. They moved them out to the new
The ones
Israel now.
the ones that live in
They moved
Israel
to,
right now.
they moved them out. Yeah, the people that moved that are currently living in Ethiopia in a city called Gondar. This people are considered to be the original Israelites, and the
It's,
original and the Israelite government right now flew them all out to Israel
you talking about
without
the
no
city of
visa, without no
Gondar.
interview.
The
Yeah,
city of Gondar, the Israelites there got their practices of being a Hebrew Israelite from a white guy, and I
they but
forgot
they
his
but
name.
they did but they didn't practice Hebrew though. They had their own language, Giz, which was almost the same age as
Geez,
Aramaic.
You know this language is older than those, right?
What the Hebrew? According
All of
to
it.
according
Yeah.
to
Aramaic,
Hebrew
new
is
Hebrew,
not
all of
historians,
that
that.
yeah,
It's older than
old.
this, yeah.
What they're doing with
it's
Hebrew
older than what?
is they
It's older
see
than Giz? No way.
Older than
No way. It's
Aramaic,
older than Giz.
older than any of that.
Nope, it's not. Okay, let me explain the historical how it came down. First, there was Sabian language. Okay, it's called the Sabian language. If you see the Sabian letters, and if you see the Ge'ez, the Hebrew, the Aramaic letters, they all took their letters from the Sabian language. This Sabian language is written in stones, and you can find it carbon dated way before written Hebrew was found.
Mm.
So it might be a coincidence that this new Hebrew looks like Sabian, the Aramaic looks like Sabian, the Ge'ez looks like Sabian, but it's highly unlikely. They all descended from Sabian language. So we have manuscripts that are bound in
hold
leather,
on,
that are bound like
where
that are written in
where is
stone.
this
You can
where is
carbon
these
date them
Sabian people from?
from northeast Africa and southern Middle East, right after the Red Sea and before the Red Sea, on two sides of the Red Sea.
Oh, so they
Edom.
Phoenicians, got it.
Phoenician is a civilization that's not Sabian. Phoenician is way up north than Sabian. Phoenician is like in the Middle East currently, northern
so,
Middle East. This is
so,
like uh, up and down from the Red Sea.
so the Middle East are the first people on Earth, the Middle Eastern people. The Arab,
You
First
guys, Mo
people
gonna
on
come
Earth.
up.
yeah.
Yeah, you should let more on. I mean, if you want me to step out, I'll step
No,
out.
you stay
No, no,
here.
no, no.
No, you
I'll get down.
Mo, I can hold a conversation with Mo.
just, well, I'm gonna look into that Savion stuff, but
Yeah, you
you know,
should do
there's
that.
language that
Sabian letters.
predates it.
It's the same letters. We even use them right now.
Yo, that's wild. She said, "No, you stay here. She don't want you to move." I'm gonna be
Yeah.
real quick. I'm gonna be real quick. It says, "Look, check this out. This is this is the Jerusalem Post. You go look up OP-ED contributors. This is the scholarship. This isn't no post from some church or some atheist. This is the Jerusalem Post. It says the Exodus is so fundamental to us and our Jewish sources that it's embarrassing that there is no evidence outside of the Bible to support it. So we gave you what
Okay.
Susan was giving you earlier was the Americans, the French.
No,
These
I
are
think he was
people,
British. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, British. These are different people. They're Europeans, Western world people. These are people outside of that area who can't find it. They spend millions. They get grants in this country to get money to go over there to try to find it and prove it.
Yep.
So that's one group
Look
of
Yeah,
up,
people. And then
look
now
up,
you
yeah,
look
have
because
up.
they want to steal it.
this is Jerusalem. This is the Jerusalem pool. The short answer is no. The whole subject of the Exodus is embarrassing to archaeologists. Did it say to that
Exactly, because
archaeologist,
they want
to
to
the
place it
American
somewhere else.
archaeologist?
They
Is
want to
it,
place it somewhere else. That's why they can't find
Oh
the
my
evidence.
gosh.
Go to
See,
is
go
it
to
Places, yes,
Lalibela.
some is.
Go to
Places,
Lalibela.
some
Go to
is.
the city of Kush. Go to the Kushites. Go to the northeastern Africa and see and look for evidence there. They don't want to find evidence there. They actually hide the evidence they found there. Do you know that in a mosque, in a church of Lalibela, the rock-hewn church that was made out of one rock, there was many evidences that linked everything that happened in the Old Testament, and they chose to hide it. They chose to hide
bro,
it. They're
look,
creating
listen,
wars now in the area.
listen,
Wars are
listen,
now created
listen,
in the area, and they're
listen,
stealing like
listen.
evidence. You,
You're trying to move the people in the Middle East into Africa, and they were went in the Bible. They went to war with other nations that are in the Middle East.
okay, which one would make more sense? That a tribe, that a nation in Africa going to war in the Middle East, or a nation that used to live in the Middle East that
Joshua,
migrated to
you
look,
Africa,
hold
can
on,
see
look.
went back
and
to
look,
the Middle East to
listen,
have a war? That does
if
that
I
make
can
sense?
only read two sentences from the abstract, imagine what happens if they try to go do the research themselves. That's what happens. No, no.
But
Okay, so which
He won't
city,
it
even let me
which
finish.
depends. It
city,
depends on
which
what you give
city was
value. You give
Hezekiah
value to the
surrounded
new
by the?
research.
Hold on, wait. Which city in Africa was Hezekiah surrounded in by the Assyrians?
Which city in the Middle East do they claim it is? I don't know about. I'm not. I don't know by heart about the entire Old Testament, man. You
Ain't it
know
the
one
city of
verse because
Jericho?
you've studied this verse, huh?
Ain't it
Because
the
you
city
can't
of
just
Jericho?
mention a random thing. The city of Jericho,
Ain't that
That
where ain't that where Hezekiah was at when the Assyrians surrounded?
of course. You're talking about
you
the
can't you can't
Assyrians.
you can't hide that type of event. That event, if you read it
Yeah.
out the Bible, is epic. You can't hide that.
Okay. Oh, exactly. So
Where
where
did
is
it
this
go?
archaeological evidence? Why did you choose to believe this battle and not the Exodus?
I'm not
Where's the
We're
choosing
asking
to.
archaeological
you where
evidence
the
for this?
evidence
Oh
is.
my God!
We're
So you
asking
can't
you where
believe
the
It's
both.
evidence is for it. No, you're not
So
listening.
you can't believe both.
No, I didn't. You're not listening. We're going to another instance of where there's an epic event that happens that would be so relevant to history. It will leave a footprint. This is a great wall. Even if it got knocked down and hit with a bomb, you would see the remnants of it. We're not saying that this is
So
real
you
and that's
think
not real. We're telling you that there's no evidence for none of these epic events. Where's the evidence
for
for
which one? For what wall are you
the
talking about?
Exodus?
I'm
And
probably
look,
sure I could pull something
you
up.
the
got slick earlier with
the
that
Angola,
walls,
Exodus
Benin.
thing.
the walls
Angola,
in
Benin, where they
Jericho.
just copy that story and
The
run
Historically,
wall
go
of
into it.
the
Jericho?
city
And
the
walls at
city of
Jericho, yeah.
Okay.
Jericho did not exist during the time of Hezekiah. I'm going with what the scholars and the people who are doing the archaeological digs are telling me. That's what I'm saying.
I
Like
understand that.
you make it seem like I'm going to one archaeologist and I'm taking his word for it. I'm going to French, British, and Canadian archaeologists that are going under William Dever's work. The matter of fact, they're going in
Okay.
there. Look, listen, hold on. They went in there in
All right.
1962, 1963, 1968, 1981, 1996. That's just some of them. I ain't even went to them all because I would still be writing this shit down.
Okay. Okay. Whenever you're
Listen,
done, let me
listen,
know.
listen, listen. The area that people call Jericho, the earliest people that they found in that area are people that can't even write. They don't even have languages. They don't have gods. They're all the way back in 8,000 BCE. There's nobody's even
8,000
been in that
BCE.
area. 8,000 BCE.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
You don't even have Sumer, but you don't need to believe it because there's no other evidence besides people who were banging people upside the head with rocks at the time. People who were drying out meat and eating beef jerky. You don't have those people that you're talking about. The people who lived in that area that you're calling Jericho did not even have the type of mindset to do the stuff that they're talking about in the Bible. There's been nobody there. There's
Okay.
ruins. It's just ruins.
So
No
this is
one's
my
been there.
problem. There's ruins there. There's archaeological ruins that date back to, from 8000 BC.
Yeah, ruins from people who were building, who were like putting up mud and shit and hiding under it, trying to build a little cave that collapsed on them when they slept. They couldn't even build anything. They couldn't build a wall.
Okay.
They couldn't even build a little hut to
Yeah.
sleep
So
in.
so you think the events in Jericho were claimed to
Oh my
happen in 8000
gosh.
BC?
No, I said the area where they tried to go find the Jericho where it's supposed to be at, there is no evidence of a Jericho from the Bible. Just like when they try to go find Jesus, there's no evidence of a Jesus from the Bible. They can find a Jesus, just like they can find a Jericho. They can find Rome. They can find Judea. They cannot find the Judea events in the Bible in the actual Judea. They can't find the
Exactly. But
Jesus
why do you
from the
think that
Bible
is
in
though? That's
actual
my question.
because
That's my question. We're talking about an ancient time. When you're talking about Rome, you're talking about something that happened in 500 AD. You realize that, right? If and
what?
for to clarify, let me give
Why
you a
did you just say that?
hypothetical,
Why
okay?
did you say that I'm talking about 500 AD? You're going way after
Because you
Constantine. Why
said
would I
they
be
can
talking
find
about that
Rome.
time? But why would I be
Because
talking
you said
about?
they can find Rome.
I didn't say that they
Because
can
you said
find
they could
Rome.
find Rome,
You
didn't you?
are, bro. What are you? Did you fall down? What are you hearing? I said when
You
they
said they
go
could
to
find
these
Rome, they
places,
can find other several cities, but they
you're
No,
couldn't
not.
find
he
Jericho.
This dude does not hear anything I'm saying. I said when they go to these areas that are mentioned in the Bible, whether it's Rome, whether it's Jerusalem, whether it's Assyria, Babylonia, Nazareth, Jaffa, Damascus, Samaria, wherever they go, they don't find the same evidence that matches the stuff in the Bible. It's completely different. The Bible has a completely different narrative from what happened in actual life. I didn't say which
It's like
one was real in the Bible. I'm not
I
giving
but
credit to any
how
of it.
how did
I'm
you
telling
get
you they
that? That's
cannot
my
find
question.
any of it.
but that
No,
we
but
trying to
my
explain to you
question is,
if
yeah,
so
I
that we trying
understand.
listen.
to
I understand.
this
But
thing
my
When
question
Mo
is,
the
first
land is
when
scared,
Mo
let me
they
give
can't
a
first
find
started
it.
response. Hold on one second. But the question is, how did the Bible describe the cities? How did this Bible describe the cities? Was there any description of cities in the Bible? If there was description
Yes,
of
there's
cities in
No,
the
hold
no,
on,
no.
Bible,
hold on.
and if that
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
match
Why,
Okay, give
the
an
why would I be?
example.
archaeological
There's
evidence,
some
what
Hey,
you
hold
say
on,
would be right.
hold on. Let me say one more thing, and then you can go ahead and finish them off. I never said it described anything. What I said is the events that they describe in the Bible do not match
How
what
can you
we
find
find in
events with
archaeology.
archaeology though?
Because if there's a guy, right? If there's a guy that's in the Bible and he walked across the water and split it in half, and there's people living all across the water on one side of the water and on the side of the water where he came from, and no one's talking about it. We're not dealing with the Exodus when you said, oh, they walked through the desert. What type of archaeological evidence do you need for that? The
No,
Exodus is not just
no,
important
not
because they
really.
went through the desert.
we're not
Bro, hold
we're not
on, hold
talking
on,
about
hold
this
on.
new
No,
day
you're not
and
about to,
age.
you're not about to,
People
you're
were
not about to,
very scattered
you're not
in
going to
there.
distract me.
People
You're
used
not
to live in
distracting me.
deserts.
You're not going to distract me. I'm going to finish.
that's hold
So
on, bro,
when
hold
we're
on,
talking
bro.
about the Exodus, when we're talking about the Exodus, it's not about them just tracking through the desert. It's about them being in bondage and someone slaving them for that long. How are you doing this stuff to these people that long and they're having babies, they're living there. They have places they have to stay, they have to go to sleep, wake up, they have food they're eating, they have clothes. There's no evidence they have elders that are dying, they're burying them. Where are these people at? These people
And
don't
in
exist.
babies.
in
They're not
Egypt.
there. There's nobody in bondage. You have three different kings who said they fought foreigners, but they never said that they took them as slaves and brought them into their town. Egypt wasn't even like that. That you're thinking about
How,
man today. They'll take people and go, here, you come with me to my place. They didn't have that. When they fought people and that was their enemy, they kept them the fuck away from them. They don't bring you
you don't
into their
believe
fold.
you don't
They
believe there
don't
were
bring they
slaves
don't bring
in
they
zero
don't
AD?
bring they don't bring
What?
enemies into their
Wait.
land.
You don't. You said you don't believe there was what?
You're saying there were no such thing as slaves and people living in bondage? Are you saying? Are
No,
you
In
the
serious?
Jews were not enslaved
No, he
in
just said there
Egypt.
was no people in bondage, and there was no evidence of people like who live there,
there,
who like have
listen,
children there.
listen,
There's
listen.
no evidence of them
There is
existing.
no
The Jews.
evidence
How do
of
you know that?
any. Oh my God.
Where is it? Just give us one. Give us something. Give us a Jew that's enslaved in Egypt. Just give us the bone, the book, the napkin, the headdress. Where is it at? Where they at? Where's the evidence? Where's the body? Where's their elders?
We're talking about
Where are the
thousands
people
of
at?
years back.
Where is it? Okay, so we can go thousands of
What do
years
you
back and we can
What do you
hold
mean?
up, hold up, hold up. So how is it that we can find rulers and all of these different people who lived there alongside of those rulers who were writing? There are people who wrote in their diaries that the king slept with their wife. And this is thousands of years before you get Moses. This is before his time, and we can find all of those people and their writings. So how can we not find the Jews that lived thousands of years after that?
All of these people that you found in writing with their rulers, whatever, are kings, and they used to be buried in huge burial places,
No,
like
no, 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 no. You didn't hear
underneath
what I said.
pyramids and
You didn't hear
whatnot.
what I said. The people who were living under the rulers, they wrote about different rulers who slept with their wives, who took advantage of their
Okay,
wives because they were rulers. Yeah, these are people
and
who
you
weren't
believe those
rich. They
writings,
weren't rich. They weren't the elites. They weren't the rich people.
and
They wrote down what
yeah, and
happened.
you
The king
believe those
slept with my
writings,
wife.
right? And
You're
you
not
believe
hearing what
those
I'm
writings.
saying. You're not hearing what I'm saying.
Listen,
I'm telling you that the
I
evidence
did
is
hear what
there.
you
So
say.
when someone says that this king existed and this king ruled and that he used to sleep with a lot of women, when someone makes that statement, we can go back and look and see that people wrote about this king sleeping with their damn wife. So that's proven. It doesn't matter if I believe in their gods or believe in them. That doesn't matter.
Exactly,
When someone makes the
exactly,
statement, we can see the proof. You're making a statement that there were slaves there, and there's no
true,
evidence of any slaves there that were Jews and
exactly. You
Hebrews, and they
said,
marched them. They marched
yeah,
out, and God punished them with plagues. Where are these
okay.
plagues at? How do you the
What do you mean
Justinian
you
plague?
can't find plagues in archaeology? Come on.
Yes, you
You have to
can.
talk logically now.
The Justinian.
So,
Yo, bro, everybody can look
okay,
up the Justinian plague.
let's take
Look up
turns.
look
Let's
up
take
the
turns, right?
Justinian.
Because
Look
I didn't
up
get one thing through.
you keep
look
cutting him
look
off.
up look up the Justinian plague. You know what he keeps doing? He keeps making a claim, thinking that I can't prove it. You said that you can't prove a plague. They've proven that people got wiped out in the Mediterranean area from a Justinian plague. They proved it. They saw that a plague wiped them out. They can see the bones, people shriveling up and dying. They can look
Okay,
at
okay,
the organs. They can see that the volcano went off and people died from smoke. They was like, "Oh shoot, I'm glad that the lava didn't get over here." But they didn't know that they
exact.
were going
Okay,
to die from
I
the
have,
smoke inhalation.
I have responses for everything you just said. Can I just respond to you?
If you're going to give me the evidence,
Okay,
where's it at?
okay. So what you just witnessed to start off with, what you just witnessed is a plague that could be left off in the remains. Okay, you have to let me finish now. But what are the plagues that are mentioned in the Bible? The plagues that are mentioned in the Bible are boils on the skin. How are you so going to get an archaeological evidence of a boil on a skin when the skin has been decomposed and what's remaining is bones?
You want to know
I can
how?
understand somebody bashing
Do
your
you want to
head,
know
and
how?
1,000 years later,
Because
you can be
people would
like,
have
oh,
wrote
there's a
about it.
bashed head here. This guy must have
Okay,
died out of brute force. But
okay.
if a person dies out of a boil on his skin, how are you supposed to? Hold on, let me just finish. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, let me just finish. Exactly, exactly. That's what I was getting to. So when people wrote about this event, they put them down, and you find them. You uncover this books 1,000 years later. You'll be like, okay, people around that time have written this book, so that means this event's happened. But when it comes to the Bible, when it was written at 70 AD, and people like several people, like not one, not two, not three, four, five, six people have written about the same event, and you carbon date that book and it goes to the same time that it was written, you
Carbon
choose
date,
not to believe that as not evidence.
carbon
But
date a
You
book.
everything
can't
else that was written,
you
you
can't
choose to
carbon date
take
a
it as
book.
evidence. That's the only
Carbon
difference.
date a book. Do you hear what you're saying?
Yes,
Carbon date
carbon
a
dated.
book. Why
Ex-
would you carbon date a book when all you have to do is deal with the evolution
Carbon
of
date.
language? You don't need the carbon data, but carbon dating, if you carbon date something more than 2 times, it's going to
because
switch
it's a
the
second.
data.
It's a
It's
it's a
inaccurate. Carbon dating
secondary
is inaccurate.
confirmation. You can use the language. You
No,
can use the
No,
language
we don't
yo,
tactics.
even
You can use the
have to
language
deal with that.
tactics
Did
to
bro,
find
the
out how
did a
Egyptians
old the
carbon
find?
book
date.
is. And second,
They did carbon dating on
and
the
second,
pyramids, and
what's the
it went
problem with
back.
carbon
It
dating
went
it?
back.
I don't see a
They did
problem with
carbon.
carbon dating it.
I'm
Did
about to tell you. You just won't shut up. You keep talking. I'm about to tell you. Carbon dating, when they did it for the first time, they were trusting it.
Okay,
So
I'm
it's like, oh, this
uh,
is
time
five
this.
thousand
Okay,
years old. This is 5,000 years old. But when they tested it multiple times, they saw that the date changes to the point where the Sphinx in Egypt was over 1,000,000 years old. So they was like, wait, this is inaccurate. And then they tested it again. It never went back to the original number. It had no consistency. That's why they stopped using it. The numbers are too.
so how did you
They
know?
have
How
no.
did you
They
know
have
about
no
the evidence
consistency.
you? So what? How did you know about the evidence you mentioned earlier? As like people writing, the king slept with my wife. How do you know it was from the same age then?
because
Because
they
of the
have
If you don't believe in
manuscripts.
carbon dating,
because
They
it's
have
not. Why is
manuscripts.
he saying carbon dating? They had text that they could
Uh,
not read because the language was dead, but it was similar to a
okay,
language that they still spoke that was closer to that
Coptic.
time, but they couldn't only
exactly. How
read.
did you
They
know?
could only
How did you know about that language that was closer? How did you know about the age of that language that was closer? You have to
because
use some sort of
people
scientific
pass
method.
down
But
languages.
if you discredit the scientific
If I
methods, you have
start
to
speaking
discredit it
like
for every time.
when we read the Bible, we know it's closer to the Shakespearean age where people are speaking like that. Thou
Oh
art should not
shit.
be inside forth when you see, thus saith the Lord. That's how they used to speak back then. So
Which Bible are you talking about?
we know the time.
Which
We
Bible
know
are
the
you talking
time where
about?
they speak where they say saith, thou art, was,
Which
shall
Bible are
be.
you talking
Those
about?
languages, bro. The King James. Why are you playing dumb? What I'm telling you is language can
Okay,
show you.
that's 1611. That's
You.
1611.
Language can
Okay,
show you.
now
That's 1611. I'm not talking
Bro,
about
this
that.
dude is
I'm
off the
not talking
wall.
about that language.
Y'all
I'm
been
talking about
going.
the Garima Gospels. I'm
They didn't
talking
came up
about the
here.
compiled Garima Gospels, which was binded in leather.
Y'all done lined up like 27 different people and still can't prove nothing. Y'all all tried this. I don't know why y'all doing this shit.
Because you don't want to,
You can't
because you
prove
don't want to
anything.
believe it. If I don't want to believe in
I don't
something,
need to
there's no
believe
way
it.
you
Just
could prove
where
it to me.
is it? Just give us a bone or something. You won't give anything. There's nothing
Garima
there.
Gospels.
I
I
read
gave
him
it to
two
you.
sentences out the Jerusalem Post. And
Oh
he
my
just cut
goodness.
me the fuck off. He didn't even want to hear the rest of the evidence. He just cut me off after two sentences out the Jerusalem Post. And I was trying not to be biased. I sat here and
What's
I
the
was
what
like, you know what?
Jerusalem
hold
Post? I
on.
don't even know
Listen,
what that is.
Hold
What
on,
is
Mo.
the
Let me
Jerusalem
I
Post?
say
sat here.
this to the chat. Everybody in the chat, look up the Biblical Exodus Society.
I tried to look up something where it wouldn't be biased. I said, I don't want it to be American. I don't want it to be the French. I don't want it to be any of these people. I purposely sat
Okay,
here while
find the
y'all were
Garima
talking, and
Gospels.
I sat here purposely, and I tried. And you want to
I
just throw
gave you
people
one.
off? They so deceptive. You don't even want to stick to a topic. You just want to keep throwing people off while they
I
talking.
gave you a book called
And they talk
the
about a
Garima
spirit, and I
Gospels.
got the spirit of God. Why
It's
you
bound in
can't
leather.
deal? You
It's not
can't deal
written in
with truth.
English
You just
or
keep
Greek.
talking over people, skipping the subject. You're not even staying on topic. As soon as we try to dig deep into something, you start running away. We'll get into the Serena language and get over to this manuscript. What is it? Is it proof of something? Why don't you teach us? Is it proof of something that the Exodus happened in that book? Moses is standing on the manuscript, walking through the desert, and then splitting the sea in that book, and you can press play and we can see the video of it. What are you even saying? It's going to be someone telling the same story, and we don't have no evidence for it. I just read him that they
All
said
right,
that they're
I'm
in
just
very.
gonna need you guys to give me a second to talk because we're not like no information is being passed.
I
No, we
read
passing
two
a lot of
sentences.
information. You just dismiss it. I gave you dates that these people were doing archaeological digs.
No, bro.
I
I
gave you
mean,
the
no, I'm not passing any information because I
no. Finish the sentence. You're not passing any information. Guess what?
Do you know what the Albright Institute of Archaeological Research is in Jerusalem?
Oh
because
You know
I
what
was
that
There's
is?
being
shit.
some
interrupted
more.
every time I say
Do you
something.
do you know
William,
what
There's
that is?
some.
you
There's
talking
some
about
more. There's
William? You
some more.
talking
Let him
about
finish.
William F.
Let him finish.
Albright?
Finish.
Mo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he don't even. That's what I'm saying. So we not giving you no information. These the people on
Oh
the ground
shit.
doing the groundwork. These people over here in hell and sand in their lungs and shit. These are people on the ground looking for the stuff to support what you saying. They believe what you believe. They didn't say because we didn't find it, we don't believe.
These are
But they being
these
honest.
are
No, hold
these
on,
are
hold
the
on, hold on,
same
hold on,
people.
hold on.
These
These
are
are
the
the
same
people.
people.
These are the
As-
people,
Okay, okay,
bro. These are
okay.
not people who don't believe
He's
it. They're
he
still
William
being honest though.
William
They're
F.
trying to tell the truth.
Albright was a believer. He believed in the book wholeheartedly. He would show with a Bible in one hand and a shovel in the other, trying to prove one or the other. He would try to prove the Bible with archaeological evidence, or he would try to prove archaeological evidence with the Bible.
But they still
We
not gonna
give you
lie.
All right,
information
can I
and you
say
just
something?
dismiss it.
When did I dis? I didn't even get a chance to dismiss it, man.
You said I'm not
I'm gonna
showing you
make two
any
points, right?
evidence. So I
I'm gonna make
asked you
two
if you
points. I'm
know.
gonna make two
I
points.
asked you
Okay.
if you knew about this institute, and you just I don't even know what you said. You don't
I
even
don't,
care.
and I don't believe in
I
this
read you two
institute.
sentences.
Why would I
I don't
believe in
care
this
if you
institute?
believe it. I just asked you if you knew about it because you keep on rejecting what I'm saying, and you're telling me you're not showing me no evidence.
No,
All
I
you have
don't.
to do is
No, I
all you
don't.
have
No, I don't.
right. So your Bible can make a
I don't
claim,
know this
and
institute.
so your Bible can make a claim, and we just not so we just got to accept it because you said it. You read it from a book, and we just got to
You
accept it.
don't got to accept it. You don't got to accept it. But
So
I'm
what
gonna
are you
tell you
here
one
for?
thing though. If my ancestors wrote a book, let me tell you what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to get to. You never let me speak. If my ancestors wrote a book, bound it in leather, and if I found it to be in some archaeological site, I will take their words versus a white man in Jerusalem right now who is trying to suppress truth, which I believe is trying to suppress truth, even if they find evidence in their sites, even if they found the outmost, most ridiculous type of evidence that would shut everybody up, these people would not give it up. You know why I say this? Because they took all the evidence from my country in a raid, took it with hella forces, hella army came here, and took all the evidence from our library from the ground rock hewn church called Lalibela. They took it, they put it in the British what British Library or whatever it is. You can still Google this evidence, but they will give you bits and pieces of it. Some of them they just out, and I have a hard time believing these people, man. I can't believe anything they say. Last time they were saying there were dinosaurs running around screaming out and shit, and then some meteorite came and killed them. How could I believe these people?
There,
The same
and
people that are
there was
trying to
humans,
poison me
and there
every
was
day, you
humans,
want
and
me
there
to
was
trust them when it
and
comes
look,
to my salvation? I
and
don't.
there
I'm
was
not gonna
humans,
trust these
and
people.
there was humans running around on the planet, and these angels went down and made it with the women, and then God said, "Oh shit, I got to kill everybody," and we supposed to just accept that one, and He put all the animals on the ark. They
You're
all just
not
walked.
supposed to
All
accept
the
it.
animals
You're
and
not
all the
supposed to
animals
accept it. You're
walked.
supposed to
All of the
exit.
I know, but you pointing out a
You're supposed.
ridiculous story, and the shit y'all believe
How
is
is it
ridiculous.
ridiculous?
It's ridiculous. All of the animals just walked from all over the world, went into an ark.
How,
The flood happened. The flood happened, and then they got off the ark and went back to where they belonged at on the earth. That's crazy. They all went back to where they belong at.
yeah.
There's no
That
misplaced
that's how.
animals. They just
That's
all
how
went
you
back.
know. That's how
The
I know
polar
you
the
didn't get the
polar
right
the polar
interpretation
bears went
of the
all the way
Bible.
back to
This
Antarctica. I got to get back to the ice caps.
the polar bears all went to Antarctica. how did humans make it there then? Can I ask you? Do you believe in the continental drift,
I don't make no claims. You
in the
make
science
extraordinary.
in the science
See,
version of it?
you assume that I make extraordinary claims. You are the one who believe these extraordinary claims. So I'm questioning you. I didn't make any claims.
No, I'm talking about scientific fact.
I'm not
The
making a
continental
claim.
drift.
Why don't you ask me something that I
Okay,
claimed?
hold on,
What did I
Mo. Hold
claim?
on, Mo. What's the
No, do you
sign?
believe in
Was the
that? Do you
What
believe
did
continent?
that
I
story is
Listen,
true?
claim?
That
listen, listen,
Pangea is true?
listen.
Go ahead, Susie,
Was
because
the
he's just sitting here lying.
I'm
continental
asking you.
shift? Was the continental shift during or before man?
Was the continental shift before or during man? I believe it's during man.
Oh, it's what you believe, not what the scientists say. Got it.
Right?
No, according to the scientist, I asked him a question earlier. If you believe in science, what the scientists are claiming, I have questions for you that align with the
According to
questions you
the
just asked me. But if you
scientists,
don't,
the continental shift happened way before man was even thought of on this planet.
okay, then if that's the case, how can you find the same species of animals in different continents?
Finish.
Just like the previous question, how did the polar bear get to the North Pole? If everything was
Oh
mixed
my
up and it was one
gosh.
land and everything was
You're
water and
not
and then it drifted,
you're not
right? How did the
listening.
polar bear appear?
You are not listening to me. The
How did the
continental
polar bear
shift
appear?
happened before humans. The way we are
Yeah,
now.
but yeah,
Oh my
I didn't
God.
ask about humans though. I didn't ask you about humans. I asked about how the animals that were living in
No,
one big
because
land
look, when he
happened to
No,
first brought
vary
up,
but he
when he
asked you the
listen,
after the
when
drift.
question.
he
He
brought
asked
up
you the
Noah's
question.
Ark, you
Why are you
start
talking about
talking
what you
about the
asked him?
continental shift. So you're trying to place the continental shift during the time of Noah.
Of Noah. Yes,
What?
And what I'm saying is that it was before the continental shift happened, before Homo sapiens sapien was on this planet.
and then okay, that makes
How
perfect
many
sense. Okay,
no, wait,
hold on right there. Okay,
Of course it does.
how many continents have they found Homo sapiens sapien on? Don't worry, I'll wait.
okay, all right. They found the Homo sapiens were not existence during the continental drift, and then the continental drift happened. Everything was covered by water during Pangea, and then how did humans come up? Come up? How did they not? How did they just appear out of nowhere?
What does this
Every
have to do with what you're talking
no,
about happened with the
he
flood
said
and Noah?
if
the
humans
entire
weren't,
world.
if humans were not at the time of Pangea, if the humans didn't exist at the time of the continental drift, how did they suddenly appear after it?
What
It doesn't matter
marine
when.
what
Go ahead.
hold on, Mo.
Go ahead.
What marine biologist says that during the time of Pangea, the whole landmass on the planet was underwater?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
So
That's
just
what
said
you
right
just
that.
after
said.
that,
He's
how did
You
asking
humans
you
just
for
appear?
a source. You said
Huh?
it, so he's asking you for a source. How you gonna say exactly?
Oh,
he's
he's
ask,
asking me if it happened or not.
he's asking for the
Just
source
Google
for what you're
Pangea.
saying.
Just Google the Ice Age and Pangea. I mean, what do you mean the source? It's everywhere.
Can you
This
just
is a
give it
common
to us?
knowledge.
We don't know. Listen, come on, bro. Just give it
no.
to us so we can
You
go to it.
you
That's
said you
all.
said you said the whole world was underwater. That's not ice age.
That's when the Pangea happened. When the entire thing was melted and water flooded the entire world.
Gondo,
Listen, if
Gondowa,
all listen,
Gondawa.
hold on,
Next
Yakanan.
name.
If all the polar caps melted right now today, the sea level would rise and it would cover the Statue of Liberty. It will not cover the entire planet. You made that up. I'm going
Okay,
off with
let me come right
marine
back with a
biology.
source.
I'm
Let me
going.
come right back with a
I'm.
source. It will take me 2 minutes.
I cannot wait to see this one. This is about to
All
be
right, give me
incredible.
2 minutes.
This this dude about to go back to the dinosaur times with this.
No, don't worry, don't worry. This is going to be incredible if I find you a
Bro,
source that the
we
Earth
are
was
nowhere near
completely
this time.
submerged in water.
We are
Hold
nowhere
on.
near this time. You're not going to get humans. You're going way far. You're going so far back in history. You shouldn't even have a planet. There's your God is just by himself and the universe is thinking, and yet we got a
He's
planet that's
he's
flooded.
saying that there
What
was
the
some
fuck
type of
is happening?
human species that was around during the time of the dinosaurs. Wow.
This timeline be fucking people up. This is crazy.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It's like they have to prove us, the non believers, they have to make us believe in their book. We hit them with sources, then they counter with belief, and then they want to try to hit us with the source. Because remember, when he first got in the live, I told
He
him
going dry.
to bring me an Exodus source stating that they found an Exodus. And he left, came back, and started talking about a whole another subject. And then when Kenya reminded him about the source, he said that they moved to places. That's what everybody says. They moved to places and hid the information.
The dude is wild. I don't think he knows what Pangea is. Even if he did, look, even if when he if, if he, even if he did use this right, then Pangea, it wouldn't be a flood from God. It would be the ice caps melting from all of these places being frozen.
No, I think that's how she said. Tabitha said, I don't need Cash App. Give the Cash App to somebody in need in the chat. I don't need it. I'm not. Me and Mo don't spend information to be paid. No,
It's
he's looking
somebody in
for
your
a source.
it's
He's looking
somebody
for
in
a
your
source to prove his point.
it's somebody in your neighborhood. Go tell them, say Mofax and Suiton said this your sandwich or your shoes or your pants or something. Somebody needs something. Tell them say Mofax and Suiton said this for you. You know what I'm saying? Go tell go tell them that Mofax and Suiton blessed them with something.
Hello. So
Yeah.
I was surrounded by like loads of data. I've sent you a link. It's called Water World. It suggests that the world was once covered completely in water and there wasn't a
You
single
talking about the
continent in it.
movie?
Give
You
me the
talking about the
date.
movie?
Hold on, wait,
Not
Suiton.
what are you
Give me the
talking
date.
about, man?
Wait. No, no. Give me the date. We just want the date. What's the date?
The supposed date is 1.5. This is what they're saying. 1.5 billion years ago.
And you can find humans at that time.
I told you we
No,
was gonna go.
no,
We
you
went.
can't. I'm not saying you can
We
find
went.
humans at that time. I'm saying this
So
didn't
hold
happen
on,
at the
wait,
time they're saying it is.
listen.
Of this
When
motherfucker.
he
I
brought
told
up
you.
Noah, you brought up Pangea.
What did I tell
Yes,
y'all?
I said Pangea happened at the time of Noah, and then you guys said there was no time where the earth was covered in water, and now I'm
The
saying it was
entire,
covered in water.
the entire, the
The
Bro,
entire
entire world,
planet, the
yes,
you're
land,
the
all the
entire
land
planet.
masses. Wow.
There was
I
not
got
a
it.
single one continent. This is what
I've got to
science says.
see
I'm not
this.
making this up. Just you don't have a computer on you right now. I just
bro,
did
you
like 5 seconds ago.
okay, yeah. Hold on a second. You're talking
Try to
about
make logical points, okay? Like hearsay, like laughing out loud won't
Wait,
they won't
wait,
make
wait, wait,
any
wait, wait, wait.
legit points.
You just said, listen, you just said, try to make logical points. We've been giving you
Yes,
logical points this whole time and you've been dismissing them.
but I gave you a logical point from your own source, and you
And
laughed at it
okay,
because it's funny. I know it's funny.
no, because listen, this is what you said. I'm laughing because I never heard of this one. You said 1 billion,
1.5 billion years
this
ago.
said
You see how
and
dumb these
humans
1.5
weren't.
people are?
billion
You take
years
their
ago.
word.
Listen,
What
humans
does this
weren't
have to
alive
do with
one
Noah?
billion years ago.
Exactly. Exactly. If that's the case, after the flood happens, where did they suddenly spontaneously come from?
What does that have to do with us? Your God explained that. We're trying to show you that your
Okay.
timeline does not fit with
Yes,
reality.
my God explained it. My God explained it in the book. There were humans before, some of them survived after the flood. That makes more sense to me than there was a flood
Okay,
and then nobody
hold
existed
on,
and
hold
out
on,
of
hold
nowhere,
on, hold on,
spontaneously,
hold
a
on,
human being disappeared.
hold on, Mo.
He did.
what is the name of the people that look for bones? What are those people named? Those archaeologists name?
Anthropologists.
When anthropologists dig, listen, when
Yeah.
anthropologists dig, when they go down to a certain level in the earth, they get to a point where they can find no human remains. It's just dinosaurs.
They found dinosaurs.
Listen, it's
Or did they
just
find like
dinosaur.
bits of bones and then they just like was there any dinosaur that was fully found, or they just have to CGI
Listen,
everything at the end of
listen.
Oh, CGI.
Anthropologists, anthropologists are digging to find their earliest known humans, Homo sapien,
it?
Homo
Okay, that
erectus,
means they
whatever you
didn't
want to
find
call
it,
them.
right? Yeah.
And when they doing the dig, they're doing digs in every single continent. And the further down they go, they don't find humans. They find dinosaurs. 1.5 billion years ago, there were no humans. We're millions. We're in the millions. Homo
Yeah, that's what
sapiens
you believe.
and
I don't even believe the Earth existed 1.5
see,
billion years
I'm
ago.
not going.
I
I'm
believe
not
in the
going off.
Bible. I believe it
Listen,
like
I'm not.
yeah.
Again, I'm not going off what you believe. I'm going with the anthropologists are proving. So
Hey,
until we get some
They're
other
proving
data,
or they're claiming.
oh,
and just hey, real quick, y'all both right. The person who said archaeologist and the person who said anthropology, you're both correct because anthropology still includes archaeology. It's just
They
specifically
don't know what they're
even.
talking about,
Hold
man.
on, man. Pause, because
they
I'm trying to
don't.
make sure, bro. I'm trying to give people their credit because they both are correct, and I want them to understand something behind this. Archaeology is used by anthropologists to study human history specifically, but archaeology can cover all types of history. So I'm letting y'all know that you both are correct when you say archaeologist and anthropologist. That's why I was just making that clear so people don't think that, oh, I got it wrong. You both correct.
They're both correct, but they're not correct in what they do. What they
No,
do
you're
is
not
Okay,
claim
correct
to
because
do.
you went back to 1.5 billion years. So you on some weird shit right
That's
now.
not me.
Then you said you don't
That's
even
the
believe it.
scientist.
Well, yeah, yeah, okay,
You
you're
see,
right,
you
but you
have it
still
all
said
wrong.
okay, you're right, you're right. My bad, but you still said that you don't believe it, and you went back to get us a source for that. And I was asking you, you didn't have to do that. I said, why are you bringing this up? And this is going to go so far back in time that humans are nowhere near this existence, and you went and got it anyway, and came back, told us about 1.5 billion years, and it still has nothing to do with Noah.
Because me and the host were having a discussion, and that he didn't believe that the world was at some point completely covered in water.
You don't
and
believe
Now
it
still,
anyway. So what does it matter?
we had an
I
argument
don't
about the time of it,
listen. I
and then
still
he went
don't.
ahead and
I
said,
still, I
Hold on,
still
hold on.
don't
Let me
believe
someone.
that the whole world was covered in water. I'm going to read
"So
The
this
you
whole
believe
world
article
half the
wasn't
things
covered in
science
water though.
says, and you don't believe half the things the
It
science
still
says at the
wasn't.
same time."
because I've never seen this information before. This is what I'm telling
You'll
you.
get to it. You'll get to it. Okay, we
So
could
let
leave
me
that
get
point. You'll
to
get
it
to it.
at this. Okay,
Yeah.
but what I'm telling you is, even if we go off your logic because you believe in the Bible, when we go to the back of the book and we get to the begot, this person begot this person, that person begot that person, it don't add up to 1.5 billion years of Noah building an ark. It goes to 6,000 years.
Yes, which is the right one. Yeah, which is the right date.
So why'd you bring up Pangea then?
Because you wouldn't believe that the earth was covered with water.
But you listen, what Mo told you, you and Mo were having a conversation, and he asked you, how did all these animals get from all these other continents? You brought up Pangea.
Yes, because I wanted to prove
And
to
hold
him
on.
the
So
same
that
way,
means
the same way the logic he applied doesn't work for the time of Noah. It also doesn't work for the science. That's the point. Because both of
so
them has the
again.
same ground
Listen,
establishment that the
during
earth was covered in
during
water.
during the time of man, during the time of man, the continental shift took place before we even existed.
According to science. Yes.
Okay, so what was the point of you bringing it up
Agreed.
if it already happened before we got here? And these animals are
No,
coming
no.
from continent. They have to pass. They have to pass the Pacific Sea and the Ethiopian Sea, the ocean, the Ethiopian Ocean
Okay.
and the Pacific Ocean, right?
Yes. Yeah. That doesn't make sense, right? That
But you
doesn't make
brought
sense,
it
right?
up. You brought it up.
I
Okay.
don't know what's going
Try to
on.
understand it. Try to understand the words that I'm saying. Okay.
We
I
Hold on.
said,
trying.
Wait,
I
wait,
said,
wait, wait,
I
wait.
said 5,000 years before, on the time of
Everybody in the
Noah.
chat. Am I misunderstanding what he's talking about? I just want a yes or a no. Anybody in the chat?
Seems like a yes to me, man.
Well, I got two no's. I got a
Three.
three
Okay.
no's. I got four no's.
I
I
don't
got
think
five,
so. Four,
six.
five, six, 7, 8, 9. Come on, man.
Okay. Tell me how you're not misunderstanding this. Okay. I
Because
said, in the time of Noah,
listen. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Go ahead.
in the time of Noah, the flood happened, and then Noah saved them with the ark, whatever. However you interpret that passage, it doesn't fail to show that the earth was once covered in water. Now, I said that happened 5,000 years ago, and the scientists claim this happened 1.5 million years ago. So when Mo asked me after the continental drift,
I
after
didn't hear.
Noah saved all these people,
I didn't hear nothing about no
hold
5,000
up,
years.
No, 1.5 million.
but
No,
that's
no,
what the Bible
hold
says.
on. Wait, let's be
Let him
specific.
finish.
Let's
Let him
be
finish. Let him
specific.
finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Go ahead, brother. Let him finish. Let him finish. He almost done.
Because
Okay,
he's not being
okay. So
specific. It's
when
not
Mo said,
1.5.
so so when
Go
Mo
ahead.
said, how did the polar bears, like every animal from every corner of the earth, come to Noah and then were placed back right after the flood? He asked me that question.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you ask me that question, you should also be asking the same question to the scientists who also claim that the earth was flooded. That's my point. The age doesn't matter because the events don't change if it was 1.5 billion years ago, if it was 5,000 years ago. If you're asking me how the animals got there, you should also ask the scientists how, after the continental drift, did they get there? Because it's the same event.
Because, and I'm gonna say it, because you pulled up one scholar that believes it happened 1.5 billion years ago, and there's other ones who believe it happened 2.5 billion years ago. Then there's other ones who think it happened 3
Forget the
billion years
age.
ago, and another one
I'm
that think
talking
it was
about the
4 billion
event.
years ago. So it's a window. It's between
No,
1.5
listen.
and 4
Because
billion years ago. But that's when the whole
Okay.
Earth is supposedly covered in water. We're not
Okay.
dealing with the same animals
Okay.
that we dealing with today. We're talking about the polar bears from your time that existed
Okay. So they
5,000 years
changed.
ago. You're
That's
going
your
into some
answer.
other shit.
So your answer is
You
they changed.
you're saying
These are not
no.
the same animals.
No. Listen to what you're saying. You're
Oh
saying
my
that I
God.
should ask the scientists the same question. When you
Yes.
ask them the same question, when you're talking about the Earth being, and this is a theory, they said it could have been filled because they don't understand where the reservoir of all this water that's here now would come from when you include the water under the ground and on top of the ground, plus you add the evaporation.
oh,
I
I
know what
didn't
you're
know
talking
that.
about, but they're talking
Okay.
about a theory about where this could have come
Mm.
from because this water has to come. It didn't come from nowhere, right? So this water is
Okay.
still cycling, and at some point, it was including the ice, and that it's melting. And if the ice was
Okay.
bigger than what it was before, they're adding it all up, and they're saying, "Wow, this whole shit could have been covered in ice and water at some point." But that's from
Okay.
1.5 billion years ago to 4 billion years ago, not
Okay.
5,000.
Let's let's just consider four for this sake. Let's just for this argument, let's take the outmost furthest point and let's
We
say
don't even
four
have
billion.
alligators. Fuck a polar bear.
I I
Alligators
got
are
you.
older
I
than
got you.
polar bears. We don't even have alligators.
Exactly. So that's what's your point? My point is, you ask? Okay, we've established it's not even 1.5. It's from 1.5 to 4 billion. I accept that point. But how do you still explain the question you asked me? How would a scientist explain it?
The question I
Mm.
asked you was, how did Noah build the boat? He built the ark and he stood there, and all the animals from all over the world. I don't care if you go back to a million years or 5,000 years. How are all of these animals walking from all over the
Six
world to get on this ark? And then after
six
it's all
pair of
over with,
each. He
they
took six
get
pairs
off
of each.
and go back to where they belong. All of the animals we see today, we can tell they evolved from their land that they live in, and they've been in that land for
We can't.
thousands of
We can
years.
tell that they adapted to the land. We can tell that they adopted to the
but
land,
it's
but
over
we can't
hundreds of
say they
thousands of
came from the
years.
land.
I
The
agree.
years doesn't. Okay, let me explain. Let me
We're
put this
talking
way.
about hundreds
Let's
of
talk
thousands.
science. Okay, let's talk science. Okay, science agrees something could not come from nothing. Okay, a living thing could not come from a non-living thing. There was the scientist who claimed that if I put a glass and put some bread in it or some food in it, eventually, even if I cover the food, some organisms are going to come out of it. Then he concluded living things must come from non-living things. And then mad scientists from all over the place were like, this is the most outrageous thing ever. Living things cannot come from a non-living thing. They must evolve from a living thing. That's what they said. So if that is true, after this event 4 billion years ago, after the Earth was wiped with water, completely filled with water. Where did the living things come from? What you're talking about as alligators, what you're talking about as bears, whatever it is, couldn't just combust or spontaneously burst out of non-living thing. It must have come from another living thing, which brings
We're
you
living.
when you head this way. At the end of the light, you'll see an unmoved mover who could have brought all this. If you have any other logical explanation than spontaneously appearing, let me know.
I don't care about that. That's not even my concern. That's never been our concern. You say you
We're
know.
talking God,
You
so
say
that
that
is
you.
our concern.
But the
Yeah,
greatest
I
question
just
we're trying
don't
to
think you
ask
know
is
that it's
like
your
how
concern.
all
You're saying
animals
that you know
live.
for a fact how this happened. We're showing you what's going on in history, in science, biology,
Okay.
archaeology.
You
That's
know
it.
how I know
These are
for a
these are
fact?
these.
You know how
This
I
is
know for a fact that this happened?
you don't know for a fact because first of all,
I
listen.
know for a
You
fact.
you
But
you
let me
heard
tell
it.
you
You
how.
so
Yeah,
Let me
let me
tell you
get
how.
there.
Okay?
this is tough.
Your
I
belief,
know you're about to lie.
let
You're
me
about to lie as soon
nope,
as you start talking
nope,
because I know
let me
that
tell you.
God did not take you
Okay,
into a
if
time
you know
machine.
I'm
Hold
about to
on,
lie,
hold on,
just
hold
let me
on.
lie.
I know you
Let
about
me
to
lie,
lie.
please.
God did not take you into
Okay,
no
give
time
me a
machine.
chance to lie.
God didn't take you into a time machine and take you back and show you what he created. You just believe it.
God doesn't
So
need a
I know
time
you about to
machine.
lie. You said you about to tell me how
God
you
doesn't
know.
need a time machine.
You
Let
ain't
me tell
going
you
no
how I
time
know.
machine.
Let me tell you how I
Uh,
know. Okay? Do you know first of all, do you know what intuition is? Second
No,
of all, do you
you
know
know.
about evidence before belief and evidence after belief? So the problem I have is
mm,
the point I was just like anybody else trying to find the truth, like ridiculing the Bible, saying this is a made up story, right? But then I realized the evidence. If I'm looking for evidence first and waiting for my belief to come after, it doesn't happen. But I gave it a shot. I gave it a shot, meaning let the evidence happen to me after the belief. Let me give you a simple example, okay? There used to be a point in my life where I would think that this universe was a terrible place. This earth is a terrible place. Society is messed up. People don't actually like get along with each other. And when I used to have that belief, the evidence presented itself for me. After that belief, I used to notice hella fucked up stuff, people doing very wrong stuff, evil stuff. And then I changed my belief into this world is a beautiful place. And then that evidence started to show up. So my point here is evidence comes after belief in certain scenarios. For you to examine this book and say it is false, you have to let the evidence come to you after belief. If that happens and if you still don't believe, then you could prove that this thing has no merit to it. But there's something that's undeniable. There's something called intuition. Intuition is a sense of knowing without pre-hand knowledge about events that have happened. So if I have an intuition that something bad is going to happen for me today and it happens, there is no solid evidence to my intuition, but the thing still happens. The same way because I chose to believe first and look for evidence after, I know it is true. Where did I lie?
Because that's a fallacy. You're assuming that there's two
What
options.
kind of fallacy did I
Can
commit?
you please stop? You want to keep going? You want to keep going, or can I talk?
Go ahead.
It's a fallacy because you're acting like there's just two options. You can either believe and wait for the evidence, or look for the evidence after you don't believe. That doesn't mean, that's not how that works. We don't accept or reject anything until we see the evidence. We don't pick, we don't have bias. If we find proof that Moses existed in the Exodus, see, this is what y'all don't understand. If you give us evidence that the Exodus happened, we would teach people tomorrow, hey y'all, we was wrong. The Exodus did happen. And we'll teach from that point. You don't
Did
understand
you?
who you're
Did you?
talking to. We
Okay.
only deal with truth.
Okay.
If you just show us that the Exodus happened, we're going to accept it. You giving us more
Okay.
bullets. We got guns. Hold on. Different guns
All right.
load different types of ammo, right? Our guns
Right.
load up facts. If you give us a fact, the bullet is going to go in our magazine. We want all facts. We only shooting
Okay.
facts. If you just give us the fact, we're going to take it. That's why we asking you for it. Give us the evidence, and we'll take it, and we'll bow out. Moses existed. He was a slave in Egypt, and there was the Exodus, and he parted the sea, and we're done. And we'll move on to the next one. You just won't present it. We don't deal with I believe it, and then I'm gonna find the evidence, or I don't believe it, and I'm gonna reject evidence when it shows up. Just give us the evidence, and we're going to accept it. We don't want to have these
That's the exact
conversations.
same thing I
We
said.
know we know
You're
people
looking
are
for evidence before
we know
belief. I
we're
gave you an example of how that
why
doesn't
would I
work
believe
always.
it's not why would I believe it? Because then I'll accept a lie. Just give me the evidence and then I can check it and then I'll say that this
Okay.
is most likely true or it's not, or we need a little bit more evidence or whatever, and we'll try to move towards 100%. I don't put a belief before or after something. I just accept the
In other
facts.
words, in
That's
other
how it
words,
goes.
you want to know what to believe.
So this is you've. Sorry. What was that?
Dude,
No, no, I'm just saying.
you
Go
just
ahead,
did
go
a
ahead.
lot of talking. Let someone else talk.
Yeah. That's. I'm down for that.
Now, what I'm gonna tell you guys is this. Everybody in the chat, I'm not talking to being over would it become. I'm talking to the people in the chat. Look up a Jewish person named Mashula. Look up the Jewish person named Mashula in history, and you're gonna see that he was the first person in Egypt to own a Jewish slave. Now, when you go into Egypt and they talk about how they had an exodus out of there and the Jews were slaves and the Jews built the pyramids because they were slaves. When you go and you look at the king's list and the people who were building these pyramids, Khufu, they were paid workers and they were buried next to the king of Egypt. If you were slaves in the land, you don't get to be buried by the ruler. These people got paid. They worked in shifts and they were getting paid. And it was an honor for them to work on the pyramids. You're not going to
Were they
have
Jewish though?
slaves come.
With these
You're
people, were
not
they
going to
Jewish?
have.
The people that were paid? Oh,
No,
I'm interrupting. Sorry.
they were Egyptian. They have manuscripts showing that these people were Egyptians because they lived in the land, they had Egyptian names, they were marrying and intermingling with other Egyptians.
Okay. What about the Jew you mentioned? Mashula? Is that what you said his name was?
Yes, that's his, you are exactly right.
He
He
yeah, he
owned
had Jew
a
slaves.
yes in
He
Egypt.
had a Jew slave in
That's the
Egypt.
first
So how
documented.
did the Jews
That's
get
the
there?
first. That's the first documented case of a Jew being
Okay.
enslaved by another Jew, not Egyptians enslaving
So
Jews.
okay. So that would prove that there
Just
were Jews in
no,
Egypt
no,
in that
wait,
time.
listen.
You didn't hear what he just
Look
said.
up the look up the date for Mashula and see if it matches up with the Exodus.
It might not match up. I'm not trying to prove the Exodus point. I'm just
It's
asking.
not
That
gonna
does
match
that
up.
mean there were Jews in Egypt
It means you
There
slaved
were
yourself.
Jews in Egypt, but
and
where
some
we're
of them were
saying
slaves?
oh my gosh. See, this is what I'm talking about. You keep tying everything back to the Exodus. Just because there's
No,
Jews
not
going
Exodus.
in,
I'm talking about Mashula. I've forgotten about the Exodus part.
Mashula was a Jew in Egypt. The Jews went into
And he was a
Egypt.
slave. You see how you don't want to believe it when you just spelled it out. Even yourself said you just described how they were Jewish people in Egypt.
Again, just because they're Jewish people in Egypt doesn't mean that they were slaves. You have to remember that at one point in time, the Jewish people became rulers in Egypt, right?
Okay.
They moved into the they moved into the Levant area, right? They got to set up their own kingdoms and stuff, right?